Today on CityCast Austin, it's Lunar New Year, which means eating soup dumplings to bring wealth and good fortune. We have lots of spots around town to choose from, and our guest today is Austin's biggest dumpling fan. So he's here to share his faves. It's Thursday, February 6th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here today with Nikolai McCrary, senior staff writer of The Infatuation. Nikolai, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you about the Lunar New Year because I have recently become a little bit obsessed with it. Just a tiny bit obsessed. It's a little bit out of control. So it's upon us. Lunar New Year is upon us. How do you plan on celebrating, first off?
Yeah, so I went out with a few friends last night. We went out to go get just some noodles, and we went for Filipino food. But yeah, typically I celebrate going out with friends, with family. And growing up, I celebrated just eating it with family and things like that.
Nice. Okay, so anybody that's listening, if you don't know, the Lunar New Year celebrates the new year on the lunar calendar as well as the arrival of spring and is the most important holiday in China. It's also widely celebrated in countries with a significant Chinese population, and it celebrates family. And in the Chinese Zodiac calendar 2025, this is the year of the snake. Do you know what your Zodiac calendar year is?
It is. I'm a snake as well. Yeah, I'm a snake.
What? Yes.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Come on. This is your year. This is your year.
It's going to be a good year.
See, look, I'm already excited for you. So there are lots of traditional Lunar New Year foods, right? From like a whole fish to dumplings. Can you talk about the significance, first of all, of soup dumplings for the new year?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's a whole bunch of different ones, and it varies from culture to culture. Some of the most common ones across different countries and cultures are dumplings and noodles. And noodles kind of symbolize longevity. Dumplings are just good fortune. And those are kind of my favorite two to celebrate with, although, you know, I do love myself a whole fish. And in Malaysia, we did a lot of kind of sticky rice and things like that.
Perfect. All right. Well, you mentioned sticky rice. I still have never had sticky rice. And also, I have never had a whole fish. So those are two things I need to catch up on.
Yes, you should go get yourself a whole fish as soon as possible. Today, if possible. That's what I recommend.
Today. That's it. I'm leaving. After we get done, I'm going to get a whole fish. So, okay.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about dumplings because, again, like, I've definitely had many, many dumplings, but let's talk about exactly what are soup dumplings. Because I'm fairly new to soup dumplings. I think the first time I tried them was probably last year or maybe the year before. What do they look like? What's inside? What's the best way to eat them?
Yeah, so soup dumplings are one of my favorite types of dumplings, also known as like xiaolongbao. For most people, the first time you eat them, you're probably going to burn your mouth. I did. And so there's a few tips you can do to avoid that. But essentially, it looks, you know, like a typical dumpling. But when you pick it up, you notice it's a little bouncy because it's just full of like essentially hot boiling soup. And the way that's made is they put gelatin in the broth. So it's hard when it goes in and then it steams. And then as it steams, all that just kind of breaks apart and it becomes a hot boiling soup. So they're really, really delicious, really tasty, and they're a little trickier to make. But what I like to do is I like to poke a little hole in the top, let some of that steam escape, and then you can just kind of drink the soup and then enjoy the dumpling on its own. But some people like to just pop the whole thing in and just go at it. And I encourage that too.
Just YOLO. Just may the odds be in my mouth's
exactly.
favor. Yeah, we're just going in, hot soup and all.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes when things are just a little too hot, it's a little more fun, you know? You kind of experience this like intense burst.
I kind of love that. I love that. So, you know, Austin's cuisine is pretty diverse, but I don't hear people talking about soup dumplings enough. What is your opinion about Austin's dumpling scene? Like, where are the best places? Do you have any particular spots that you like?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of wild. Up until a few years ago, there were very few places to get soup dumplings. As far as I know, one of the first to bring it to Austin was a place called Wu Chao. They're downtown. And that was, you know, maybe 10 years ago or so. And ever since then, we've had a little bit of this like soup dumpling explosion. And right now, my favorite couple of my favorite spots are actually right next to each other in the Triangle, which I find interesting because the Triangle, again, until a couple of years ago, was a place to go for core power, and maybe you'd pick up some pasta mandolas on the way home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, yeah. And now we have two spots that have opened up in the last year, one called Dumpling World and one called Mian and Bao. And they're both excellent options for soup dumplings. I mean, Dumpling World, they specialize in dumplings. You can get every kind of dumpling imaginable there. There's soup dumplings. They have all different varieties. They're one of the few that has like a vegetarian option, as well as, the classic pork and things like that. So that's probably one of my favorite spots. And then while you're there, just go straight across the street to Mian and Bao and just do a little dumpling crawl. Have fun with it.
I went to Dumpling World for the first time for a friend's birthday, literally like 2 months ago. And it was delicious. Like it was
Yes.
kind of like I just let her order for us. And it was delicious. I love going to places like that with someone who already knows. Like you already know what's good. And so I just sat back. I just sat back and let her order for the table. And it was awesome. It was awesome. So does Austin have any like traditional places, or like kind of have we been seeing any kind of like newcomers or pop-ups?
I haven't seen a whole lot of the way of pop-ups, but we have had a lot more kind of traditional Chinese restaurants opening with the addition of like Dumpling World, Mian and Bao, which actually has its origins at a place in LA called Chengdu Taste. There's another place that opened up last year called Special Noodle over off like Anderson and 183. They have some really great dumplings and also just a really big menu of like classic Chinese dishes, house-made noodles, dumplings of all different varieties. And then they also have the skewers that come on the little metal, kebabs that come on the little metal skewers that I'm a big fan of.
I Listen, I'm getting hungry. I this is good. So now, aside from soup dumplings, let's talk about some other types of dumplings that are enjoyed this time of year.
Yeah. So, I mean, dumplings of all different types people enjoy. Soup dumplings are obviously going to be more of a Hong Kong, Shanghainese type of thing. But there's also, Taiwanese dumplings. I really like a place called Sweet Chive. And then just kind of
Ooh,
more, have you been there?
Nikolai, that's my spot. That's my spot.
Ooh,
That's in
it's
my
good, right?
neighborhood. I eat there probably once a week. Like
Oh my God, they're
at
great.
least once a week. Their bao buns, I know, has put on at least 20 of my last pounds. Like it's so, and they have everything. They have dumplings, they have
They do.
sushi. Anyway, I cut you off. I love sweet chives. Shout out to sweet chives because they're delicious.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And then obviously we have all of like the classic dim sum options. And, we have a guide to the best dim sum spots in Austin at the Infatuation. And that's where we have everything from kind of the little pushing carts that you see in a lot of bigger cities to just places where you can order a la carte. And, there's just so many variety within that dim sum world. Those are incredible as well. Oh, another one I was going to say back on the soup dumpling, I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget this, but a place called Lin over in Clarksville, they have like one dumpling that comes in an entire box. It's like the size of a little baseball. So if
Yes.
you really like soup
Yes.
dumplings, you have to try
Yes.
that. Definitely be careful not to burn your mouth on that one because that is a lot of boiling soup in there.
That place is cute as hell. It is so cute. And that's another place. Like, it's one of those places I went one time and someone else just ordered for me, and it's the best. Now, I want to talk about dim sum really quick. What's your favorite dim sum place in the city?
Yeah, so for kind of the classic dim sum with the carts, I do like a place called New Fortune 2, I believe it's called now. They moved. We don't have quite as strong of a scene as somewhere like Dallas or Houston where, they have a little more of a community, a little fresher stuff. But for a la carte ordering, they're a pretty good option. I like a place called G downtown. Lynn also does good options on the weekends. Again, it's all a la carte. It's a little bit pricier, but the quality is really good. And 1618 also does a good version of dim sum. They're a little bit more leaning into the fusion, so you're also going to get some like Thai dishes and Singaporean dishes, but they do some pretty solid dim sum there.
I did not know 1618 did dim sum. I love
Yeah.
1618.
Yeah, go there on the weekend. You can do it with cocktails and everything.
Listen, you put me onto a lot of stuff I did not know that. Now, so I am backtracking now because now I need to know about this whole fish. I'm sorry, I have to ask. I wanted to ask you when you first brought it up, but I have no idea where I can find where I would get a whole fish for someone else to cook me a whole fish. Let's be very clear. Are there any restaurants in the city that serve like a good whole fish?
Yeah, so for whole fish, similar places to what I mentioned before, G downtown, Lynn. Lynn, I think, does it more as a special, but they do like this whole fried snapper. It's super crispy. It's really good. They're one of my favorite fish in town. If you want to have that whole experience, and it's this beautiful presentation too. It comes in this giant platter, and it's all covered in sauces. So that's a favorite one, and I believe 1618 does one as well that I really like.
Nice. So okay, so now I want to talk about the infatuation. So there are lots of food review websites online these days, but infatuation is a little special. Let's talk about what sets you apart. What sets the infatuation apart?
Yeah, so I think what I like about the infatuation is we try to just speak in an everyday voice. We try not to sound like we're from, some background of stuffy food writing. We don't go into the restaurants wearing like a black turtleneck and a monocle and try to be all official. We go in with friends and we go in with family and we go in with groups and yeah, we just order everything exactly as you would go in normally. We don't take any freebies. We don't do any precedents. We use fake names on our reservations because we want to get the exact same experience that everyone else is getting when they go in.
Love it.
And we go to everywhere at least 2+ times, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times, just because we want to make sure we're getting like that consistent experience too. And so that's what I think. I even before I started working at the infatuation, I used it as a resource because I really valued that.
I mean, I've been using the infatuation for a while myself. It's just an easy place, and I like the hit list. You know what I mean? Like it
Yes.
just feels like something easy and quick to like pop on and get quick. Like that's I just go to the hit list. This is what I need to know. This is what I should be trying right now. And like it's just easy. And so now I'm going to ask you to do something that every time I ask someone that is a writer for that about food or restaurants, everyone groans every time I ask this question. But if I pressed you to give me like top five dumpling place in Austin, top five. And it can be your own, it can be your kitchen. If Nikolai's kitchen has got one of the best soup dumplings in the city, that counts. But your personal top five.
Okay. That's tricky. Fortunately, I did do a power ranking of the soup dumplings, so it's a little fresh on my mind. And if I go based off that, like right now, Dumpling World is number one because
Nice.
I do love their soup dumplings, but there's also just a ton of variety. And I feel like if you want to make a whole meal out of dumplings, that's where you can go. You don't want to just eat 30 steamed dumplings. You can eat a whole variety and turn that into something. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
Special noodle also similarly because I like to have the dumplings just be a part of the meal and I like to fill the rest in with kebabs and noodles. G downtown, again, you can get the whole fried fish while you're there, but also just some really, really tasty soup dumplings, great dim sum on the weekends. Another place that's actually a little interesting is called Ling Kitchen, and they're this tasting menu only Chinese restaurant that takes place inside of a commercial kitchen off of 183. It's
Ooh.
this really bizarre experience because you're sitting there eating on metal tables while this commissary is going on in the background. So they're prepping things around you, but it's this beautiful, like, dozen-ish course meal. And the dumplings there, it's from the same people as Lin and She, and the dumplings there are just also incredible. But they're really, really beautiful. Like you have one that looks like a little hedgehog. You have some that look like a little
Nice.
present tied in a bow. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Look up some pictures later. So that's up there. Then I'm going to go with Julie's Noodles. I think Julie's has been around for a while. And they just
Yes.
do really,
Yes.
yeah, just really good like home style dumplings. All the food there just feels really, really homey and comforting, and a really big fan of them.
I love Julie's. That Julie's is definitely on my list because it's another one of those places that you can get a little bit of everything. And for a beginner, that's really nice. You know what I mean? Like it's really nice when you're just like dipping your foot. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
that whole shopping center is incredible. You have
Oh
that
my
original
God.
ramen tatsuya there. My favorite Chinese restaurant in all of Austin is House of Three Gorges, and that's right across the street there. If you haven't been there, definitely check it out. But yeah, just a really strong shopping center.
What? I've never heard of that.
Oh, get over there as soon as you can. It gets busy. So their whole thing is it's more Szechuan food. So really good. Their eggplant dish is one of, I think, the single best eggplant dish in all of Austin. It's incredible.
What?
But Yes, get yourself to House of Three Gorges. It gets busy. Like I will usually wait anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to get a table. It's a tiny little spot, but it's really good. It's also really great for takeout because all that stuff transfers really well.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So 30 minutes is worth the wait. If we're talking about superb eggplant, I'm into it. I'm into
Yes.
it. So I'm curious, do you, especially like thinking about, Lunar New Year and being with family and being with friends, do you make your own dumplings?
So my mom's from Malaysia, so we're kind of in a Malaysian American household, and we had a lot of family that was, in the area. So they would always come over, and we would all make dumplings together.
Oh, I love
But we made
that.
more different. Yeah, we made a lot of different kind of dumplings because in Malaysia it's this multicultural mix of Indian, Chinese, and Malays. And so we did kind of like momos. We did some Chinese dumplings, and we made a mix. These days, I live by myself here in Austin. I'm not really making dumplings for myself too often. I usually just go to one of these great spots because we have so many. But I still do miss that kind of tradition of making dumplings with family.
Yeah, yeah. And also just like, you know, the fact that you can create something like that is pretty special. That's pretty special. So, is there anything else that we should know and we didn't ask that I didn't ask you about dumplings and Lunar New Year food in Austin?
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of dumplings. Growing up, dumplings always felt like this appetizer to me, and we would go out with family and we order a few dumplings. And I always feel like I got just one
Yes.
or two of them, and I never felt like I was fully like satiated on dumplings. And it
Yes.
wasn't until I don't know later I was living with my brother at one point, and one day we decided to stay in, and we just ordered takeout dumplings until we like couldn't eat anymore, and it just felt like this life of luxury to get full off of dumplings. I loved it.
Yes. I love
So
listen, this idea of dumplings as a meal, like I said, it's super new to me. I'm loving it. I love it. I love this just like taking all these little bites of something and the surprise, the burst in your mouth. It's lovely. It's wonderful.
yes,
I am definitely a fan. I'm definitely a fan. I'm into it.
I love
So
it.
I am going to literally take everything that you said and and I got to go to every single place now because I didn't realize that we had such a robust dumpling scene. If I'm being honest, I didn't realize Austin had such a huge dumpling scene.
Yeah, it's relatively new. And I mean, now we have close to a dozen places where you can get soup dumplings. So, really, no matter what part of Austin you live in, you can get some good options. And that's really great. And that's something we didn't have even a few years ago. And it's making us become like one of these, bigger, more exciting cities that we've quickly become.
I love this, Nikolai. Thank you so much for being here with me today. This is awesome. This is quick and painless. I love this. This is great.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. Thank you so much for having me on here.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to Nikolai's work in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.